Turn on the light, make it bright. It's my story, my story. Turn on the light, make it bright. It's my story, my story. If you write it, they will read it. I will tell somebody it's my story, my story. If you write it, they will read it. I will tell somebody it's my story, my story. Turn on the light, make it bright. It's my story, my story. Turn on the light, make it bright. It's my story, my story. If you write it, they will read it. I will tell somebody it's my story, my story. If you write it, they will read it. I will tell somebody it's my story, my story, my story, my story, my story. If you write it, they will read it. I will tell somebody it's my story, my story.
So, you talk about the physical part of the syphilis. Let's talk about the spiritual part of it. You said that you should have been taking your pills, you didn't take your pills. All of that is what contributed to you being in the state that you're in now. But then you also said, that spin my head, I had to pause. There's a spiritual arm.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
I'm not going to hide, I don't hide things, you know. And people need to know what is reconciliation and how we are supposed to reconcile. Well, as long as we here on this earth and we are supposed to forgive, we're supposed to move on,
Yep.
Apostle.
Yep.
I was hurt deeply by my father years ago, you know, deeply. And me and my wife. And I couldn't understand why would he do that to me. And me and him,
Y'all was close, man. Growing up, that's a, yeah, of course. Yep.
my boy,
Yep.
how did he get
Yep.
there to do that to me? What
Yeah.
where his mind is, you know? And I couldn't understand it. And I was upset with him. I was sick one time. We went to Atlanta. I had gout so bad in my two legs, my 2 feet. And my mother-in-law went to the doctor, and my wife tricked me to go into the doctor's office, and she spoke to the doctor to see me for a minute. And the first thing the doctor asked me? Mr. Brennan, what's on your mind?
Wow.
And I said nothing. I lied to him. I
Wow.
said, I'm okay. But this thing haunt me because I was upset with him. I couldn't forgive him, Apostle. And I believe, although I didn't take those pills, then I was supposed to take them. Although I felt like I was on top of the world when I was a young man, but that put the icing on the cake for my kidneys.
Wow. Unforgiveness.
And
Bitterness.
was preaching,
And bitter.
pastoring,
And
bitter, saying I forgive, but keep talking about it. When I see him, my heart, I wasn't comfortable.
yep. Wow.
Keep thinking about what he did, but saying I forgive him. And preaching and pastoring. Plenty pastors doing the same thing right now.
Bitter.
And they wonder why the ministry is stagnant.
I got to bring you on for that. That's another session. That's the, that's the church session. Wow.
But I can tell you though, you could ask anybody who know me well, I have one phrase. All I want to do is make it to heaven.
Woo!
And no sin will enter there. So I don't care if you have unforgiveness.
But
in
you
your
know
heart.
you wanna enjoy life before you get to heaven. don't
Yeah,
you?
so the only way you're going to enjoy life, Apostle, he that has a clean hand and a pure heart.
Woo!
You can't enjoy life bitter and upset and mad all the time. And you don't need money to be happy. I mean, money's make you feel better. But if you don't have it, it doesn't mean that you can have happiness.
Wow.
But if you have unforgiveness in your heart, it will kill you. Unforgiveness will cause your death. Unforgiveness will cause your death, will stop you from excelling, will damage you. It's a dangerous spirit. And the devil works extra well in that part of us. If he could get us to live in that spirit of unforgiveness, he got us. Because we'll never move on.
How does this spirit affect you physically though?
How it affects you physically.
Uh-huh.
Whatever happens up here, happens here. Just like how the oil pour from the head down the beard of Aaron, that's what happens to us,
So what's in the heart is going to affect the body.
the body.
You know, he said, a pastor said, if you hold iniquity in your heart, God won't hear you. So iniquity in the heart can hinder your relationship with God. It also affects your physical being. That could work against your organs.
I'm telling you.
Stress, the same way stress does it.
It's because it breeds stress.
Yeah, it
Makes you stressful. And your pressure go up. Uncontrollable. Your diabetes may go up. Uncontrollable. Because you're under a lot of pressure.
Someone say holding in forgiveness is like drinking poison and looking for the person who hurt you to die.
And let me tell you something, Apostle Wells. Unforgiveness only hurt the person that is holding on.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the person that you upset with,
They're moving on. They're going on.
They
their
don't
life.
remember you.
And they don't even know what they do sometimes.
now I can tell you today, me and my boy, we boys again. Me and my good daddy.
When you came to that point, when you came to the point that this has something to do with, even though you are sick and dealing with what you're dealing with, I believe once you let that go, you now can deal with the condition from a place of peace. You see, because if you're going through the condition physically and you're holding that unforgiveness in, it not only affects you physically now, it affects you emotionally, mentally. You're stressful, you're
So it
stressed
makes the
out.
condition harder to
So it
deal with.
make the condition harder to deal with. When were you able, or when you came to the place
You know,
when you released?
You know when I came to the place?
Tell me.
5 years ago. I was pastoring for 2 years.
Right.
And still had issues. Same with my mouth. But I ain't got no problem. But after I was diagnosed, kidney failure, in that hospital, the Lord spoke to me. The Lord said, you have to let this go. My mother said to me, I don't want to hear you talk about this no more because you say you finished with it and you gave it to the Lord. You can't give something to the Lord and
still
keep talking
talking
about it.
Woo.
She rebuked me.
So you talked to him. You all had a conversation.
Oh,
or
we
something?
tight.
What you did?
We just been to breakfast last
Awesome.
other day. We tight.
Awesome.
Just talked to him today. You
No, but
caused
I
me
need
to
to-
go out for dinner tonight.
I owe you one then.
Yeah.
I owe you
He
one.
was taking me out to engage for dinner tonight.
Oh my Lord! I
Yeah.
owe you all one. Tell him
You
tomorrow
tight.
night. Tell
You
him tomorrow
tight.
night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you tight.
But no. But when was the breaking point? When did you make a decision to loose it? I know you said you know when you made the decision, but how did you do it? What was the process?
Boy, Apostle, I was going to say that word. It takes time.
It takes time.
It's not an easy thing.
Okay.
When people hurt you, it's not easy to forgive. And that's unforgiveness is so dangerous that that's what makes it so hard to forgive. Because when you could get to the point that you forgive, you really free yourself.
How in the world he could go on with his life like that? Even he know he mashed my toe. Even he know he slammed the door on my face. He didn't even know
Hurt my
he didn't know it. Hurt my feelings. And he's going on. And what even make it worse? He's going on. How can she go on after hurting me? And they don't even know. Now, some people intentionally hurt
Yeah.
you. Some people know that they're hurting you. Some people don't know. Again, that's why unforgiveness, or forgiveness, I would say, is for the individual who've been offended.
It's personal. It's personal.
And you feel good, you feel better,
Man, I is a loose fella.
you lose.
I ain't got nobody, no issue with nobody.
What Paul said, I owe no man anything but to love him. Eh?
And if you do me something today, it hurt me.
Uh-huh.
But listen, I let you go so quick.
I's a crazy man.
I let you
like
go,
a guy, I know nothing, I go on with my life.
I let you go
You
quick.
see, because, I mean, what's the sense? You know, you got so much to do, you got so much to give, so many people are depending on you. You know how many people tonight you blessing?
It makes you stagnant, yeah?
Man,
It put a brakes on your life. That same word on unforgiveness.
how
I-
important it is to have the right woman.
I have always been a child that honored mother and father. Always.
Awesome, awesome.
And I believe, I could almost say I know that God gave me a wife because of the child that I was.
Woo! Say that again.
God gave me the wife that he gave me because of the child that I was.
And the
to my
child
parents.
that you was honorable.
Honorable
Respectful.
child.
Awesome.
That's right. And this woman, Fanshawn Gidget Brennan, came from a lineage from strong women. And this is who God gave me. Gidget Brennan is a soldier. I'm telling you. She's a strong woman. When we called her last week crying. She said, I thank God for you.
Wow.
This is her mother-in-law now. Say, because if it wasn't for you, I don't know if Dave would have been on this earth. If he wasn't the wife he was.
Woo!
My mother said that to her. She supported. Then I was broke. I like to use this word, broke like a dog. She paid all the bills in the house. And mortgage. And school fee. And grocery. And light bill. And water bill. And paid for vacation 1 year in 27 years.
Wow.
We was in our 18th year when things got really bad for me. Paid for vacation and gave me spending money.
And give you money.
Broke. I was broke. And I was really down one day. And this for you married people would like to hold sex when you ain't no money, you all married woman. Hold that thing when you ain't no money. And I was down one day and she called me and she said, why you sound like that? I said, all right. She came home and locked the door and put do not disturb. And did well.
What you mean she did well? Give you money?
She did well.
She gave you a check.
No, better than check. She said, don't never let me hear you sound like that. You's the man in this house.
So she give you some therapy.
Yes, healing. Good woman. All of my children, great support. Great support. That's what makes, I think that's what have me looking like, I don't look like what I'm going through.
So it's very important to have a good woman.
It's very important. Good woman, good children. And you can't expect from your children what you don't give to them. You can't expect from your wife what you didn't give to her. Apostle, hold it. I came at the hospital in Pampas in September.
Yes, you were wearing Pampers.
I didn't want to come out because I didn't want her to clean me. She was excited, wanted me to come home. The Holy Spirit tell her, get him home. I'll take care of the rest. Just get him home. And I, in the hospital, don't want to come home. Because I don't want her to have to clean me. And she cleaned me for 3 weeks or more, about a month. My wife, clean big man,
Clean
me. And she said to me, she said, Dave, if you wasn't good to me, I don't know if I could have do this.
So that's the key. I was about to ask that question. If you was mistreating that woman before you got sick,
I'd have been in a home.
you would have been in a home somewhere. And if you was not a father to those boys, they wouldn't even check for you. I've been to your house. I watch how they come in that room, and they love their pa.
Man, all of them. This just dropped in my spirit again. Please, if you're holding someone in, ask God to cleanse your heart. Release them, forgive them. It will save your life. Please, I'm begging you. It will free you. Please, I don't care if your father, whatever he did, or mother did, or sister did, or brother did. We have a guideline in the Bible that we must honor our mothers and fathers, for our days shall be long. You all hear me? The Bible doesn't say if they hurt you or if you hurt them. It says parents don't provoke the children. The Bible doesn't say if they do something, then you could provoke them. We have instructions. Honor your parents. I don't care what they did to you. You honor them. You show them respect. And God will bless you. But please, if anyone have hurt you, please ask God to release you from it and where you are able to forgive them. God bless you tonight.
And if you walk on the side of the road and say you forgive them, and you see them coming and walk on the other side of the street, you ain't forgive them yet. You forgive them when you can greet them, when you can love on them,
eat with them,
when you can eat with them, be in their presence. That's when you really forgive. Outside of that, if you can't connect with them, you haven't forgiven them as yet. Talking is cheap. You got to forgive from your heart. Let it go, and watch God bless you.
You got something on the inside of you that intimidates hell, and that's why they're working against you. But I declare by the power of the Holy Ghost, between now and the end of this week, hallelujah, the witch will die or surrender by the power of this anointing. Shout glory.
How long you been married now?
I've been married for 37 years.
No!
37 years.
You only look 40 though.
I know what?
37 years.
37 years. That's a whole nother story within itself, you know, how like I've been married for 37 years, but the first 7-8 years of our relationship was like hell on earth. He didn't like me, I didn't like him.
Yep.
He didn't want to come home, and God knows I didn't care if he came home
Wow.
or not, you know.
Wow.
And so this story that we're going to talk about, really, it always makes me think and tell him like he should be glad that didn't happen
Yep,
in those first
yep.
7 or 8 years, because he might not have made it.
He would have been.
I'd have been spending his money.
I know, right? I know.
But thank God. So, but now how God has now really taken our relationship, holding it up in his hand and showing it off to the world and saying, this is what I intended for marriage to be from the very beginning. God is so awesome, so unique in how he uses everybody's relationship and their individuality, if you will.
And I think you are able to touch so many because of your story. Because of that 7 years of, you know, I don't care if you come home. I mean, you want to go, you go. You know, so you would have to go through so that you can help others to come out. You see, that's what my story is all about. My story is about you sharing your story. And you help us and give us principles, not only from the Word of God, but from your life. And you can hear your transparency as you share. And I think that's what a whole lot of people want. You know, it's all right to give that word principle, but let me know if you've been through.
Right.
Let me know if you got to a place where you've been broke and busted and didn't have a dime to do to make things happen. You didn't want to be with each other. You didn't
Right.
want to stay in this.
Absolutely.
But you made it work.
Absolutely.
And 37 years later, you can tell the story.
I can tell the story.
and-
Ain't nobody tell that story better than me.
I know.
can tell the
I know. Okay, so listen now. You are here tonight because Apostle Mike survived. Dr. Michael Freeman is a walking miracle. When you're talking about miracle, I mean real, live miracle. You would have been the person when he didn't have enough sense to hold faith. You would have had to hold the faith. Help us to understand what that sickness was about. Give us a little history of the journey.
Okay. Now let me tell you this. Now this may surprise, shock, or get a little pushback, but we don't consider it a miracle.
Woo.
We consider it a medical miracle, but as far as a biblical miracle, we don't.
Okay.
Because we had to walk a walk of faith in order to see the manifestation of that. And we say that because a miracle, when God sends a miracle, complete manifestation takes place like right then. You'll know it's a miracle, like everything. Well, we realized that because of some of the residue and it's still the same things that he has to deal with even today because of that attack on his lungs, it was all a faith walk. It started out being a faith walk. And I know some people will say, well, what's the difference? Miracles are by the Spirit of God, as he wills, miracles. But we all, which is why I like sharing it this way, because I want people to know that regardless if you get a miracle or if you have to live this life out by faith, you can still have the same results.
Okay.
You understand, Bishop Apostle? You
Yeah.
know, I know we can talk about
I'll
it. You
let
can talk
go.
about it later. We can talk about it.
You know how we go.
I know.
Yeah.
And so I was in Vegas taking care of some business, and he was at home, and I knew he wasn't feeling well, so I just would call him and check on him, periodically. And so when I called him one day and I said, hey, how are you doing? He said, I'm not doing good. And I said, okay, I asked him, I said, do you want to go to the hospital? Do you want to go to the doctor? And he said, yes. When he said yes,
Wow.
I knew something was wrong because I don't know, something about men, typically they just don't like going to the doctor, at least my husband,
Yeah.
And
Most
so he was like, no, well, when he said that, I knew something was not right. So I called my daughter, and she was already on her way to my house to check on him because she knew he wasn't doing well. So she was like minutes away. When she got there, he was in the room and didn't come out for maybe over an hour. She called me on the phone, and she's talking to him saying, okay, what's going on, Dad? You ready? And he wasn't answering her. So I said, hey, go in the room. He was sitting there on the side of the tub, the ledge on the side of the tub, and just was like real lethargic, if you will. And she was saying, okay, are you okay? What's going on? He couldn't answer. So she calls her husband. They take him to like urgent care,
Right.
like just to hurry up and get him out. Well, when he gets to urgent care, one of our members worked there. She grabbed and took him in the back, checked his oxygen, and his oxygen level was at 22%.
Woo.
22%, his oxygen level.
Wow.
So she immediately calls the ambulance, and they escorted him to another local hospital, if you will, got him there. He sent me a picture with this mask on because they put oxygen on him. And this is a defining moment
And
for
you're
this
still in
whole
Vegas.
story. I'm still in Vegas. And at the time, I was trying to, find a flight to get home. But then I thought about it. I said, okay, do I believe God or not? If I really, because I was coming home already that night, not because he was sick, but it was time for me to come home.
Right.
But I was trying to rush my flight and push it up a little early to get home. And I nothing was working. And I was getting ready to really call the pay private to get to the hospital. And I said, wait, I had to pause. I said, okay, do I really believe God? Because me, Apostle, I believe if I'm really totally in faith like I say I am and like the word tells us to be, then nothing about what I'm doing should change.
Say that again.
If I really believe, like I said I believe,
Yes.
like the word said so, then nothing about what I'm doing should change.
Woo.
And we change all the time, but yet we'll say, oh, I'm in faith, but you stopped doing this.
Yeah.
You didn't go here.
Yeah.
You changed this. You rearranged that. I said, no, I'm just going to trust you. I couldn't do anything about the situation anyway other than believe God, which is the best thing that I could do.
And you could have, because you had the money, you could have got a private plane and you could have gone.
Easily,
Yeah,
easily. And I said, no, I went shopping and bought some shoes. I took my daughter, I said, come on, let's go to the mall. We went to the mall waiting on our plane.
If my wife to do that, I would have think she didn't care about me.
And, until you saw the results. Once you see the results, you're like, baby, thank you. You can go shopping
You can go
anytime you want
shopping
to.
I love it. I love it.
But look, so he sent me that picture, which I was getting ready to say, which is a defining moment for the whole story. Because when he sent me the picture with his mask on, he said, I am okay.
Right.
And I said, I know you are. That to me meant a lot, because you have a lot of people who don't get those same results that my husband got and feel like they have failed God, or they didn't stand like they were supposed to, and they weren't in faith. Well, it's not just my will that was involved here. I had to be in agreement with him. I couldn't believe God for something if he wasn't in faith with me.
Wow.
You understand?
Wow, wow.
And we try to believe over somebody else's will, and that's not how the word works.
Wow, that's good.
So there had to be some kind of agreement there.
yeah.
So that picture and his words were a defining moment for me. I knew he didn't want to die. I knew he wasn't ready to die. So I said, okay, I'm all right. So I get to the hospital maybe about 2 o'clock in the morning. 2 o'clock in the morning, he couldn't breathe. His breathing was really labored. He couldn't get himself together. They had the oxygen, machine all the way up, and the doctors was coming in trying to convince him to be intubated, and he was like, no, I don't want to be intubated. I called my niece, who's a doctor, and she said, Aunt Didi, he really needs to be intubated.
Now, hold on. I have to mention something now that I remember.
Okay.
The niece, and you're going to talk a little more about her, but she was the one, I heard Dr. Mike said, that he sold into
Absolutely.
going to college.
Going to college.
And this would be the one.
This is the one who came with the answer that we needed.
Ooh.
That gave me chills.
Yes. Yes. That's the power of that seed.
Yes.
He sowed that seed
Come on, God is
in advance.
Listen, God is in your tomorrow today. That's why we have to do what he tells
God
us
is
today.
in your tomorrow today.
Hey.
See, you gotta start preaching.
Listen, that's why we have to do what he tells us to do today, because every moment protects and covers the next moment.
Yes.
So if we don't do what we're
Every
supposed
moment
protect-
covers and protects
Yes, the next
moment.
But so I go, and my niece is saying, okay, he needs to do this. So she said, she tells me, and I'm telling him, okay, we have to do this. So he agrees, and he goes to get intubated. Well, that morning he goes to get that. We already knew that hospital, it was a smaller hospital, it had tapped out. There was nothing else they really could do for him. So my niece is the one who says, we need to get him to a hospital that has the ECMO machine.
Wow.
The ECMO machine is an extracorporeal membrane oxygenation machine, which it allows your lungs and your heart to rest, and it works everything for you. So they wanted to put him on this machine, and she calls and connects with another doctor that's in our ministry, and it's amazing how God works. They called to the hospital where the sister of the doctor that goes to our church, both of them go, is a nurse who works for the doctor who does the ECMO at this one particular hospital.
Woo.
Come on. Listen, God is always orchestrating. Nothing catches God off guard.
Right, right.
And we think God is just orchestrating stuff when we go through
It's
things.
finished.
But no, Isaiah 46:10 said he went to the end of our life and then he backed up and then he put us here.
Yes,
right? He
yes,
declares the end
Yes,
from the
yes,
beginning.
yes, yes.
So he already had everything laid out for us. We just got to be sensitive enough to the voice of God to know who is our next answer.
Yep,
Who
yep.
has our next
Yep,
answer,
yep,
if you
yep,
will.
yep.
So they call and they say, okay, we're going to get him out of there. That hospital that he was in begged us not to let him go. Like, please don't take him out. We just intubated him. He needs at least 24 to 48 hours here on this machine because he won't make it. You don't tell me that. You can't tell me that. You cannot possibly tell me that. So they arranged for a helicopter to helivac him to the next large hospital. You know what I did in the meantime?
What you did?
I left the hospital. My daughter was having a function at her store with a group of ladies. She was going to cancel it. I said, why? Daddy is fine. We're leaving here. We are going to your store and we're going to minister to the ladies that need to hear this word on how to stand when stuff like this happens.
Yes, yes.
So
yes.
we went to her store and I ministered in that store to a group of ladies, left there, and then went to the hospital. Get to the hospital, my other daughter meets me there, and then we talked to the doctor and they said, okay, we're gonna put him on an ECMO machine, put him on an ECMO machine. They gave me no hope, none. That machine, you have a 1% chance of living.
1%.
1% chance. It was 11 people in that hospital put on ECMO during the whole time he was there, and he is the only one that survived.
Woo! Woo! Woo!
The only one. And I know it wasn't nobody but God. Nobody but God. And Bishop, I got a little excited.
Go ahead.
I get a little excited, Apostle. I apologize. I don't know if I always play with you and call you Bishop. But while I was there in the waiting room, he's in ICU in an induced coma, placed on this ECMO machine, unconscious, out of it, doing bad. Numbers are bad. Everything was failing. I mean, like I said, the doctors were giving me no hope. It's like you hear it, but it didn't affect me. I finished my master's degree while he was in there. I was out in the waiting room doing my schoolwork in human services. And I say that, I'm not bragging, I'm just trying to tell people about this faith walk we say we live by. The Bible says 4 times, the just shall live by faith. We don't pick faith up when we go through a
live by
problem.
faith.
We live by faith. Everything I do is by faith. And I had one faith victory, which gave me the ability to even believe. I had a lot of them, but one major was my marriage.
If God fixed that, how would you had to keep the family focused?
Mm-hmm.
You still had some assignments.
Mm-hmm.
You're a co-founder of the church, so you walk along with Apostle,
Yes.
with pastoring and leading that congregation. How it was for you to do all of that at the same time? Be the mother, be the pastor, be the wife, because you still had to hold faith for him
Absolutely.
and do.
There every day.
How you had to do it, and you got assignments because you got persons pulling on you who didn't know the level of your warfare, so they were still calling, wanting you to do things for them. Da 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 da. How were you able to do some of these assignments? And
Again,
still?
I believe that nothing about my life really should change when I'm in faith. What did change, I was there every day.
Right.
Because that was my priority. I tell people all the time, I don't live a balanced life, I live a prioritized life.
Yep, that's what I tell them.
So he was my priority.
Right.
My children, they would come to the hospital, sit in the waiting room with me. We would leave, go to lunch or go to dinner. I mean, they grown married people, but they wanted to be their dad. My youngest daughter wasn't married yet.
Right.
So they would come to the hospital, sit with me, never go even in the room. My oldest daughter would go in the room all the time. My youngest daughter had it a little rough,
Yeah,
at times.
she couldn't see.
I remember one time she came in the hospital and said, I just need this all over. I didn't sit there and cry and go through with it. I said, okay, come on, let's go to the prayer room. I wouldn't find the chapel.
Right.
I said, let's get in here. Now you get in here and worship God and pray. Let's change this. She was like, okay. We went in there, started praying, got back up there. You still got to be mother,
Yep,
you know?
yep,
Because I
yep.
need my kids to believe God just like I believe
Yes,
God.
yes.
His family would come, sit in the waiting room. We would take over the whole waiting room. Nobody's going in that room to see him. At that point, you know, I eventually let some people go in to see him, but that was like after I knew he was out
of the woods, yeah.
out of the woods,
yeah.
totally. Ministry, I would go to the church, and I still preached at church sometimes, not all the time.
Right.
Thank God for great leadership. My husband has established, awesome leaders here, their ministry. I have a brother-in-law that's our assistant pastor, and so he was really doing most of the church stuff,
Right.
teaching or whatever. But he would do it under my orders.
Yep.
Whatever I told him to do. Okay, let's do this. Why don't you get somebody else to teach Bible study or whatever?
Right.
And so I handled those types of things, but everything else, Apostle, was just, it was smooth. It's like hard to explain, but I feel like I was encapsulated in some kind of bubble where it was like so surreal, but real. You know, even the doctors, they would come making sure that I was okay, you know, like I wasn't in denial. Even the main doctor in that video again, he said they weren't in denial. They knew exactly what was happening.
Yep.
They weren't in denial.
Yep. Yep.
Faith isn't denying what is.
Yeah.
Faith is just believing that
That
what
is gonna change.
it's-
That is going to change.
I'm praying for you and I'm believing God for you, because I know some of you are sitting there now thinking, wow, I don't have faith like that. How does she grow her faith? Where did she get that from? Let me tell you this. Romans 12:3, it says that God has dealt to every man the measure of faith. And it says A in some translations, but in King James translation, which is the closest to the original text, it says the, which is a definite article, meaning the same measure. So God has dealt to you the same measure of faith that he has dealt to me. So the same faith that got me out of my situation is the same faith that can speak to your situation. So don't lose heart, don't give up, don't quit, don't throw in the towel, don't allow the enemy to have what God has given unto you. The Bible tells us to fight the good fight of faith. The only reason it's a good fight, because I've been in some fights now. Let me tell you, I have been in some physical fights. Ooh. And the only time it was a good fight is when I won. So listen, we fight a good fight because it's a fight that we always win. You don't have to lose. I don't care how it looks. I know COVID has changed a whole lot of perceptions and perspectives, if you will, of how things are going to be and how things may turn out. No, keep your eyes on the promises of God.
Yes.
Focus on what you are going to and not what you're going through.
Woo!
I'm praying for you.
Say that again. Hold on. You got to say that again. You have to say it again.
Focus on what you are going to and not what you are going through.
Ooh.
The healing virtue of God flows through every area of your life. Be made whole in Jesus' name. Amen.
Join us in any one of our services every Sunday at 8 a.m. and 10 a.m.
If you're going to be an effective leader, you got to know that you're called by God. The second thing is what? Character. The third thing is what? Competence. Pastor Welch, effective, impactful leaders know how to connect with people whether they agree or disagree with them. Charisma has to do with gift. He said your gift. not your beauty. Your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men. Your gift. Because you've been faithful, working your gift and your star, God, I'll give you more. And I came by to tell somebody, I'm going to say it one more time. You have come to the kingdom for such a time as this, and the earth cannot spin until you show up and do what God called you to do.
Our Rhema midday services every Tuesday and Wednesday at 12 p.m. Stream with us every first and third Monday on ILTV.
Let me get to my story. And so I started out as a youngster, and I always would hang with persons that are twice my age or even older. And so I was very exposed at an early age. I grew up in a Christian home, but I strayed far, far away. Probably at the age of between 15 or 14 and 19 years old. I was in a dark, dark place as a young man. And I was in L.W. Young at the time, in grade 7. At that time, it was a junior and senior school. And so right when I arrived in L.W. Young, me and the 12th graders was company right from the break because they knew me from the streets. They couldn't believe I was in grade 7. And so they were shocked to actually see me come to the school. And so when the Packing boys recognized that I was only in grade 7, they was like, wow. Because, I was robbing Packing boys from, you understand, I had a place in Madera Street. You make a stop there and you rob a crew there, and you go up the City Meat Market in Palmdale and you rob a next crew there, and go on Madera Street and you get your money there, and you go on top of the hill, Marquis Street, and then you make your last stop at Village Road, and then you come back to Camp Road and you relax yourself in your pocket, live straight for the night. And so my story is a story of redemption and a great God who gave second chances to individuals. And so me, at that particular junction, I was involved in about 5 leading gangs in the country between 1990 to 1995.
How old were you during that time?
Between 15 and 19. And so my first case was in juvenile court. And so my court cases start whilst I was a juvenile. And I move up to magistrate court and big court. And they were major sessions.
Say he move up.
They levels it. And so I would go before the magistrate. You see, I get on my blue and blue. And I had this thing, And I had this thing about these lucky clothes.
Right.
Once I put on these...
Yeah, blue is my color too. I didn't know it was luck.
In my head,
right.
Not knowing that was only the grace of God. Until this time that the magistrate gave me a court date to come to court. It was December the 18th. I say, this is the big one. No way in the world. The magistrate never give me a court date to come to court. December 18th, I say, they want me to spend Christmas in jail. And I was contemplating, should I go? I need to try duck this case, do Christmas out, and then go to court and then let them remand me. But I ain't doing no Christmas in jail. But I went, and the magistrate did not take back my bail, and she gave me an extension, and I was able to go to court. But every time I go to court, the magistrates will always give me a second chance.
Ooh. Wow. So what you used to get locked up for though? How much time you got locked up? You spend like 48 hours.
48 hours, 62 hours. At one point, they had me down.
You've been in just about every mean?
Just about every station. Every station. Stations would close and all. I'd be looking at the station. I look at the station where they had me. I just lock up to the Paradise Island station across the bridge and all. I was locked up to the station to the bottom of the bridge. I think that was traffic one time ago. They closed that down. I guess I'm writing on that.
Right.
I had some police trying to play Russian Rolex with me one night, trying to take me under the bridge so they're going to drown me. And so I had my sessions with the police officers. And so I try to tell young men, you ain't going to win that police war trying to go up against no police. You ain't going to win. You might try to kill one or two, but eventually they are going to put you asleep.
Yep. Yep.
You better believe that.
Yep. Wow.
And so I can't have that kind of hatred for police officers until the Lord allow a police officer to come into my life. And so they kept me around the police station long enough.
Don't go there yet, man. I tell you, marry police. Don't go there yet. Don't go there yet. Give us some of your experience in school. I mean, you would have do a whole lot of foolishness in school.
Definitely.
Had your little girlfriends.
Definitely.
Yeah, and you used to smoke or use drugs or anything?
Oh, man.
You talk about that.
I could remember I was home, and I think I took a cab to school. I think I reached the school about 2:30 p.m. Just bored, being home. And I pulled up.
So you didn't go to school that day? You didn't go to school?
Yeah, I arrived 2:30. Yeah, I got a taxi, and the cab dropped me to my special gate. I had a special gate, not the front gate. I had a special entrance and exit.
Oh, wow.
And so I arrived in the school. At the time, I used to sell marijuana. At the time, I used to sell cocaine. I sell marijuana in the school, and I would sell marijuana in the evening. But late at nights, I would sell rocks, which is called crack cocaine.
Right.
And so I would make my money for the weekend in the night, and then I got to go to school sometime in the morning. But it was on the weekends that I would party real hard from Friday to Sunday. And so I was still in school, you know, and I would be in the club with my, I had a 32, and I would be in the club.
32 what?
32 pistol. and I would be inside the club and high as a kite.
Wow.
Drunk and high, two bad habits all at the same
Drunk
time.
and high.
And high. And I would be there, and when the club getting ready
You
to
used
close,
to smoke?
smoke, bad.
Snort.
I never snort.
You
no.
never snort.
Taste
you never,
coke. Taste coke.
You taste it. You
Definitely.
never snort coke.
I never snort
You never
coke.
hit coke.
No, I never.
You ever lace?
No, I believe somebody tried to lace me before. Definitely.
You take Quillo?
No, I never take
You
any.
never take Quillo?
No,
You never
sir.
take volume or
No,
nothing?
sir. No.
So you used to just get high,
High and drunk.
drink, and
Bad.
smoke.
Definitely.
And smoke. Okay.
And so I would be in the club high and drunk as a bat, and you know, when
At 15, 16, 17.
Yeah, bad, you know. And I would be in the club and dancing and just saying, I just want somebody just rubbing to me right now. Don't let the club get ready to close, because you want to make your exit. You want to have a grand entrance when you exit. They gonna know you been there. And so, you know, you just be right there in space and you just partying, you know. And at this time, I was rolling with this notorious gangster at the time. He used to drive a Mercedes-Benz, and you know, and I'm still in school, and we drive in a big body Mercedes-Benz, and we would come out one club and go to the other club, and we would party and 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I mean just all out, you know. And they have plenty girls and women and dating senior women, people who could probably be my mother, you know, and I thank God I asked my wife if I could share, and so. And as a young person, I had dating many women. I mean, before the age of 19 years old, probably run through 40, 50 different women at 19 years old. Before
Wow.
19
Wow.
years old.
Wow.
I mean, no good to my own self.
Wow.
As a 19-year-old, I had about 7 main girlfriends at the time.
7.
Main. They were my main girlfriend. They ain't the set what I just, you know, have a good time with. Yeah. And so I had names that went along with them, and my wife was one of those 7.
She was a part of the 7.
Definitely. She made number 7, the number of
Yeah,
completion.
she was chosen.
Thank God.
Yeah. Wow.
And I met her in school. She transitioned from St. Augustine College, and she came to L.W. Young. I tell her, God, just transition you from there just to meet me before I left. And so one day, I was in grade 12. At this time, the majority of my friends were suspended And I was trying to finish school. But you know, we already terrorized the school from 7 to 12. And so it was about me and probably with one other person in the school who used to terrorize from 7 to now. So all the nerds get together, all the people that we terrorize, all the teachers and so forth. So this particular day, the whole school turned on me, including my wife, because Mina was having some challenges.
Right.
You know, because she found out that I was, you know, touching one, two little things on the side. And so she was upset with me. And I had a group of fellas that came to attack me. And she was cheering them on, kill him, kill him, kill him, kill him. And I'm looking like, okay then. You know, and then the person that I used to roll with, he was passing the same time, a senior guy, and he came in the school in his truck and almost tried to roll over a crowd of them, and I jumped on the back of the truck and I was able to make my exit. But that gang activity and involved with those leading gangs were major for me. Because it got me hard into that criminality. And so, you know, and I always had a home to go back to.
Yeah.
But being in those gangs and being a part of those associations and you toting weapons and finding yourself involved in and charged, not charged, but on the run for armed robberies. I was charged with armed robbery.
Wow.
On the run. For kidnapping and on the run for...
Kidnapping who? You kidnapped too?
So they say, on the run for kidnapping.
My wife say, wifey, can she share? Can he share? Wow.
And so I actually was, whilst I was on the run for armed robbery, they were looking for me for attempted murder. And so one set of CID was looking for one name, and the other crew was looking for another name, not knowing that this person was the same person.
Wow.
And so they say that they're in the Nassau Village area, and we got him. And so they call the name. They say, this name sounds like the same person or the character that we were looking for. And so the CID, there was a bus that they used to call the House of Pain. And these were the guys who would come looking for the terrorists of the country.
They need that house of pain or bus of pain back in the country.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, wow.
Community don't want that, but, you know, it's needed.
Yeah.
You know, and so they eventually found out that this was the same person, and the CID came and take me, find anything, and then they said, this can't be. But when they went in my back room, and they found in my room, I had my room autograph and airbrush and guns draw across the walls, and my room looked like a nightclub.
In your mother house?
In my good, decent mother house. My good Christian mother house. Thank God for her. As I speak to the young men and the young women, I mean, there was a major part in my life. I could remember this female called my house, and she said, I heard that you just was murdered. And I said, Miss, whenever you hear I get killed, don't call this house. Call the house down the road. I could remember sitting on this corner in Price Street, and these guys pull up on a vehicle and they open fire, and I could see the bullet coming through the nostrils of the gun. I fell to the ground, and I did the dead mind thing, and they pulled off, and I rubbed myself, and when I felt myself, not one bullet had hit me. I could remember sitting on Okra Hill, and I saw this car coming towards me, and persons were hanging out the windows in the car where it was so packed. And I recognized it was my second oldest sister. And she came flying down the road to Okra Hill, and she said, I just heard that somebody just stabbed you to death in Marathon Mall. And so I had another gentleman that pulled me over, and he said, and he almost lost control because they said that you just crashed on a motorbike just moments ago and died. And so I had times when I would dream about my funeral and see people celebrating and pouring alcohol on my grave and celebrating, saying, boy, he used to be carrying on, and all the rest of that. But something was wrong with that picture. In that picture, I was dead, but they were the ones who were celebrating, and something was wrong with that picture. And so, young man, young women, although you might think that you went so far, you might have did some things and you think that God will not give you a second chance. I shared with my nephew, he came to my house early one morning. He said to me, I want you to look out for my wife and look out for her and share these things with her. And I said, it's not too late. God is not like man. I said, you can give your life to the Lord. And he said that I don't want to just give my life to the Lord. It feels like I did so many things. I said, you know my story. God can do something with my life. I don't think he lasts over a week or 2 weeks. He was shot multiple times.
Wow.
And so sometimes the Lord would allow these persons to just cross my path. And so tonight is on a major platform. And said, I don't know who is watching me tonight. And so the mere fact that you are watching or whenever you hear this air, I believe that God is able to give you a second chance, young man and young woman. No matter how far you are, I believe that God can save your life. They took so long to kill me. Before I reached 19, I sat down in the back of a car one night, high, and I put a 9mm to my head. And I think I was getting ready to blow my own brains out at the time because life just did not make no sense to me at the time. They said I was carrying on, but my life was empty and void. But thank God for the grace of God and the mercies of God. When I gave my life to the Lord, he gave me a second chance. And so mothers, fathers, don't give up on your children. God is able to transform their life for the glory of God. You got to trust him, believe him, keep on believing, keep on praying, keep on believing, keep on praying, and watch God transform your son or daughter life for the glory of God. God bless you. God keep you. Is my story with Apostle Raymond Wells.
Turn on the light, make it bright. It's my story. My story.